This was my first one, and I have to say this was absolutely phenomenal.
Hey, this is Ashley Stevens with Black Enterprise, excited to be at the Black Men Excel Summit, and this is our Black Men Excel Spotlight Series. Today, we're glad to have Dexter Hall, professional coach with Black Executive Men. Hello, Dexter.
Well, hello, Ashley. How are you?
I'm well. How about you?
I am doing absolutely fantastic, being surrounded by all of this wisdom and knowledge and inspiration. It's given me another mile and another day, or as my grandpa would say, it's another day's journey, and I feel like I want to run on a little bit further.
You run on, because 99 and a half won't do.
It won't do. It won't do. You got to make it all the way.
You do. Is this your first Black Men Excel?
You know, believe it or not, this is my first Black Men Excel conference, but good news is it won't be my last, and next time I'm bringing somebody else with me.
Love to hear it.
Absolutely.
Love to hear. What have you been getting out of it so far?
Well, I think number one, of course, is being surrounded with such greatness. And when I say greatness, oftentimes we live in silos within areas in which we come from. There are great men that are around us, but to be able to put all of these great men within the room where you're not the exception, you're not the only, you're not the first, that all of these men are. And so it's almost like being able to draw water from a well that gives you the energy and the excitement to be able to continue on that journey, because it gets dry out there. It gets dry, and I think that these are things that individuals like me, Black men, absolutely need to be able to continue to draw from.
Love to hear it. Glad you're drawing from the
Absolutely.
expertise and wisdom of others. And you've got a lot to share on your own. Tell us who you are and what you do.
Well, my name is Dexter Hall, as you stated, and I have a 35-plus year background in financial services. And so I'm a kid that was born in East Waco, Texas, and I grew up in East Oakland, California. And I root that in terms of who and what it is that I am, because if you go pull the data, it gives you the opportunity to know that I should not have been able to do the things that I've been able to do. I like to say that when individuals get up and they talk about all the poverty statistics and who shouldn't have made it in the crime statistics, well, I often stand up in the room and say, hey, you're talking about me. I am data. I am that data statistic, but given the opportunity to be able to get a teller job right out of high school, they gave me a $15,000 drawer, and I thought I was doing something right out of East Oakland. 77th and Bancroft is where I grew up at, and from that $15,000 teller drawer, I went on to manage markets as big as $1.5 billion, and so I am a blessed individual. I have lived a blessed life. Thanks be to God, thanks be to mentors and sponsors along the way. And in the midst of that, an individual who has gotten more from giving than it is that was giving to me. Because I've often felt that anyone who wants to aspire to greatness, that they first have to be a servant and they have to give first.
Love that. Servant leadership.
Absolutely.
That's a big deal. Tell us a little bit about Black Executive Men.
Absolutely. Black Executive Men is a collective. It was founded by a friend of mine, Joel, and Joel founded Black Executive Men because he recognized that there was a space, or that there wasn't a space for Black men who aspired to C-suite leadership, to be able to receive coaching. As you may know and others are aware of, is that when it comes to Black men, we don't have the uncles or the fathers or the dads, and that was something that resonated with me when I spoke with Joel to be able to talk about coming aboard and working with him at Black Executive Men is that through my leadership within corporate America, I couldn't go home and call my uncle. I couldn't go home and call my dad or a cousin. I had no one to be able to help me to navigate that within my familiar circle. And so one of the things that Jules saw is that there was a missing space and that there was a need to be able to help Black men to be able to excel to these particular realms within C-suite leadership itself. And so we together, he and a team of his together, we coach individuals who are looking for 6- and 7-figure incomes. We coach individuals who are looking to ascend. We coach individuals who are looking for, as they're going along and they run into bumps in the road, because that's one of the other things that happens too, I think, to individuals who are ascending the C-suite. Sometimes bumps happen. And so when you don't have any individuals to help you to navigate those bumps, then oftentimes you kind of fall fall out of the fray. And so now Black Executive Men is a home for individuals who need the additional assistance, who are looking for a pathway, who need the additional guidance. And by the way, coaches and professional coaches is something that our counterparts and other colleagues, or I should say my lighter-skinned brothers and sisters, have had all along. And so we did not understand the benefits of coaching. We always thought our coach was our leader or the manager that we had. But yes, they had the manager, but they also had a coach that was designed just for them, who worked on issues and items that only pertain to them. And ultimately, some of those things have helped them to succeed further. And so now we're bringing that to Black men as well across America.
Love to hear it. Love to hear it. Obviously, you spent your career in finance, but tell us some advice you learned early on in your career that still stuck with you today.
Well, I think early on in my career, I learned the art of giving. I believe I'm rooted in Christian. I have a deep belief in God, and I've often felt in terms of leadership and leadership styles is that mine has often been a servant leadership, and I felt that to whom much is given, much is required. And so I felt that at the age of 24, I managed my very first bank. And so I started as a teller at 18, and I transcended to managing as a bank manager, young Black guy, in downtown San Francisco in the financial district, managing a $300 million asset financial institution. Not in my wildest dreams would a kid from East Oakland, 77th and Bancroft, would have believed that could have happened to me, but it did. But I also recognize that with that came an enormous opportunity to be able to make ways for others that look like me. Because I recognize that the difference between many individuals who were not in financial services and me and my colleagues who did not look like me was one key word. And it wasn't smart, it wasn't anything, it wasn't knowledge, it wasn't intelligence, it was opportunity. And so I felt that I needed to make sure that I gave others the opportunity to be able to become their best selves, to be able to ascend to whatever it is that they wanted to do. And so I could see beyond a resume. I could see beyond what it is that they didn't say in an interview, to be able to see their heart, to see where they were coming from, to be able to see the knowledge that they did have. And so my key word and big word, and still is really giving others the opportunity to be able to become their best selves.
Awesome. And this probably ties right in because opportunity sounds like one of the key words. Tell us about your leadership style.
As I stated a moment ago, my leadership style is one of servant leadership. The Bible says that if any man aspires greatness, he must first be a servant. The Bible also tells us is that the last shall be first and the first shall be last. And so I'm okay bringing up the rear. I'm okay pushing people forward. I'm okay with helping people to be able to ascend. I like to tell a lot of the young people that I mentor and sponsor today is that I'm a ladder holder. And I got a firm foundation on this ladder. And I recognize the firmer the foundation, the harder that I can hold this ladder in terms of a foundation for them, the higher that they will be able to ascend to be able to reach. And I only ask one thing for them in return, is that as they're ascending, don't forget that there are others who are also coming up the ladder. Continue to reach back. And so as a ladder holder, that makes me a servant, that makes me last. But what I'll tell you is that for any individuals who are out there who are often wondering, does it pay off? One of my employees that has not worked for me about 15 years, on my way here as a matter of fact, Boris Wilson. He is an L&D leader with Boston Scientific. He worked with me a long time ago, and he called me and he says, I just had to call and say thank you. And I says, okay, what's going on? What happened? Everything okay? And we got through that. And one of the things that he says, oftentimes I find myself using Dexterisms. And that's what a lot of my employees call them. And I says, okay, what did you say? And he says, it's just oftentimes I just start saying things and I'm like, oh my God, Dexter, you're constantly in my head. And so I get calls like that probably about once a week or once every other week from an employee of mine who just calls to say thank you. And to me, that has been the greatest reward of anything that I've done, to know that I've made a difference in someone else's life and they're continuing to make a difference in others' lives.
Love to hear that. Love to hear that. How important is mentorship, and who has been a key mentor for you and why?
Well, I look at it as mentorship and sponsorship. I like to talk about them in tandem. I think our original word was mentorship, and I'll get to the individual. And mentorship obviously is a person to be able to help you, to guide you along the way, guide you along the paths, to be able to confer and talk with and things like that. And I've had lots of mentors, in my life. My all-time mentor is my pastor, Dr. M.T. Thompson. He's passed, God bless his soul. But one of the things that I got from him, and I used to always tell him, is that I get more from watching you and how you lead than I've gotten from any of my professors. He was a master class within himself. He prided himself on being able to hold 6 conversations at one time. And I used to always say, you can't hold 6 conversations at one time. That's a fallacy. But what I failed to recognize, that I recognize now, it wasn't so much as holding in-depth conversations, it was how he made people feel. And because of the way he was able to make people feel, that people were able to follow him. And because they were able to follow him, he was able to get things done through our church and through our ministry and in life. And so he has been my forever mentor. He has taken up a lot of time with me in my lifetime. And so I'm grateful for him and grateful for his legacy and what it is that he's been to me and so many other individuals in the San Francisco Bay Area. But one of the other key words, of course, is sponsorship. I did a speech in a corporate boardroom for a Black employees group. This had to be in about 2006 or 2007. And we were talking about mentorship, and one of the things that we talked about at that particular point in time is that I wanted to introduce a term that I had learned about, which was sponsorship. Because I recognized that some of my counterparts were receiving promotions, they were receiving different job offers, opportunities, assignments and things. And I began to wonder, what's wrong with me? Why am I not getting these opportunities? And what I began to see is, of course, is that they had other individuals who was knocking on doors and opening doors for them. And so I began to realize how important sponsorship was in terms of a corporate career. Those individuals who went to the office down the street to say, hey, Dexter's a good person for this particular role, you should talk with him. Or say, hey, Dexter can do this job, and if he can't do it, you see me. And you begin to see how all of a sudden doors now begin to open up. And so Tracy Curtis was a British, I call it a British bombshell, but she was a white British lady who basically became a sponsor of mine and opened up numerous doors for me. And so internally grateful for her as well.
And a woman at that.
Absolutely, and a white woman at that.
That's powerful though, that someone opened the door for you and you continue to do it for other
Absolutely.
people. I love to hear it. Quickly, as we kind of wrap up, as a Black man, what challenges have you faced in your industry?
I think the biggest challenge that we face is social capital. Social capital has the ability to give one access or deny one access. And that, of course, comes from the people that you know. And so oftentimes when you're in corporate America, you're dealing with individuals who don't look like you. They don't have your traditions on Sundays or your weekend traditions. And so which means oftentimes your paths don't cross except Monday through Friday. And so you don't necessarily have that ability to be able to build up that social capital where the boss may come down the aisle and say, hey Jim, come on, we're going to lunch, or we're playing golf this weekend, let's go, or how's your dad doing? And so, and all of that of course relates to social capital. And so the ability to not have social capital and trying to navigate, if you will, the annals of corporate America, I think is one of the
Got it. Tell us about your wins.
My biggest wins have, number one, have been my 3 presidential daughters. I have 3 girls, 26, 3 girls, Reagan Alexandria, who's 26, Kennedy Anna Louise, who is 22, and Madison Olivia, who is 20. Reagan is an entrepreneur. She has a business called The Makeup Artistry, where she likes to bring out inner beauty and towards the outer beauty, and she's fantastic at what it is that she does. And so I'm super proud of her. My second or middle daughter, Kennedy Anna Louise, she is a senior at Southern University in Baton Rouge. She's a what do you call it, social worker major. She basically, she wants to open up a chain of daycare centers, and she says she wants to do it with a technology touch, which is the generation that they're in, but she wants to do it with a grandma's touch. And so she wants to be able to combine that and to be able to give that back to families themselves, where they get the latest in tech, but at the same time to be able to have grandma taking care of your kids. And so very unique proposition. I wanted all of my daughters to become doctors, and my youngest daughter, Madison, she is a sophomore at Fisk University, and so she's on a pre-med major to become a doctor, and she likes to say, "Oh, Dad, them other two girls let you down, but I'm not gonna let you down." So, but I'm super proud of all three of them, and in life they have been my major wins, my major wins.
I love it. They have such beautiful names.
Absolutely.
And I love to hear that. They're each forging their own path in really meaningful ways.
Absolutely.
That's beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Congratulations. And lastly, Dexter, what makes you a Black man who excels? I have to become a Black man that excels. As a Black man within our community, that we have a lot that is riding on us. We have a lot from a family standpoint. My three girls are the first generation within my family that will not know anything about a hood or a ghetto or whatever you want to call the areas. They will not know anything about that. And so that means I have to be a Black man that excels. My community, because I want to see each and every one of them do better and to have the opportunities to be able to utilize what I know is in front of them, what I know that they're capable of doing, because I see them. I see their strengths. I see how strong they are. I see what it is that they've been able to overcome. I see how they've not only been able to survive, but yet thrive in circumstances that most people would not be able to do. And so because of them, I have to be a Black man that excels. When we look at our world and all the challenges that are before us, all of the steps backwards that at times we see our world taking, is that I have to be a Black man that excels to be able to stand up to make sure that the narrative, the right narrative, is going forward, and that we're able to share the right narrative in terms of my family, my Black family, my Black community, but more importantly than that, how we fit into the narrative of America and how we fit into this mosaic that has always made America great. And so that requires me to be a Black man that excels. Love it. And you were doing just that and then some.
Thank you.
Honestly, we're proud of you here at Black Enterprise. Appreciate your time on this Black Men Excel Spotlight.